Fill the hearts of your faithful and kindle in us the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and we shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth. Amen. So, who wants to be a disciple of Jesus? He certainly doesn't pull any punches about what it requires. First, there's that hate your father and mother, spouse and children, brothers and sisters, and yes, even life itself. Then he throws in, carry the cross and follow me. And finally, there's that give up all your possessions. Wow. If that's an enlistment speech, I don't know what. Yep, it's that simple and it's that hard. Jesus' words don't just sound black and white, they are black and white. It's all or nothing. We're either in or we're out. His words are likely not the first thing that comes to mind when we consider our faithfulness or what the Christian life looks like. We don't often talk about the demands and sacrifices required of the Christian path. Too often we turn Christianity into a set of beliefs divorced from a way of being and acting. Now, I'm not talking about salvation, the future, heaven and hell. This is about who we are and how we live right now, here, today. So, what do we do with today's gospel, this so-called good news? I imagine the first temptation is to soften the text, explain it away, and to reinterpret it to fit our lives, at least as we see it. That temptation, however, is just another symptom of the consumerism that permeates much of our society, faith, and church today. Too often, church and faith are treated like a big buffet. We take as much of what we like and want, but we leave behind what we don't care for, what's too hard to swallow, what we disagree with, or what doesn't fit our personal opinions and beliefs. To the degree that we have done that, we have deceived ourselves and one another. That's not how the Gospels portray Jesus or the life of discipleship. Sometimes we need to have demands and expectations placed upon us. Capable parents know this. You need to eat it because it's good for you. You need to do this or that because it's the right thing to do. I expect you to study hard and do your homework, make good choices, be kind to others, and do your chores. They demand and expect out of love so that their child might grow and thrive. I think that's what Jesus is doing in today's gospel. He demands, and his demands and expectations, they call us to be different, to be fully alive, to be more like him. It is the same choice that Moses set before the Israelites, the choice between life and prosperity, and adversity and death. It's a choice we make multiple times each day. That's the choice with which Jesus confronts the crowds in today's gospel. The crowds have been gathering around Jesus since early in his ministry. Jesus, he was the new buffet for them. He offered healing, exorcisms, teaching, hope, life, good news, bread, freedom, and a new vision. Jesus had what they all wanted, and they gathered and surrounded him and pressed in upon him. They couldn't get enough. Crowds grew in numbers, increasing by the thousands. Something changes, however, with today's gospel. They are no longer just gathering when Jesus is around. They are now journeying with him. There is more to discipleship, however, than simply traveling with Jesus. Discipleship is more than grazing at the buffet of divine life. That life cannot be bought, but it will cost us everything that we have. Hate your family and your own life, carry the cross, give up your possessions. Wow. I think you need some Tums after that buffet. Those three things, the cost of discipleship, shaped Jesus' own life and his ministry. They are to shape our lives and our ministries as well. Jesus is not asking us to do anything that he didn't do. To the contrary, he makes it possible for us to do what he did. So you may wonder, how did Jesus hate his parents? It's hard to get my head around that one, but let me explain this usage in ancient rhetoric. Love and hate are meant to show opposites, not emotions. Get it? Opposites, not emotions. Remember the adolescent Jesus who was 12 years old in the temple in Jerusalem? Mary and Joseph are frantically looking for him. They think he is lost, and when they do find him, Mary asks, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Look, your father and I have been searching for you in great anxiety." And Jesus says to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house?" At that moment, Jesus hates Mary and Joseph. Opposites. Good. He set his relationship with them below his relationship with God the Father. This is not the emotional feeling based way that we tend to think of hate today. For Jesus, hating another is about reordering relationships and loyalties. Jesus is not rejecting Mary and Joseph or their love or their presence in his life. This is not about rejection, but rather about establishing new priorities. For the disciple, no one and no relationship can take precedence over the relationship with Jesus. Not father or mother, spouse or children, brothers or sisters, or even life itself. In that sense, Jesus hated his own life. He carried his cross and gave precedence to his Father's will and our salvation. Again, it's about priorities. He set aside his will and preference in favor of love for and obedience to God. But what about Jesus's possessions? The birds and the animals of this world have more possessions than Jesus. Foxes have holes and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Again, Jesus gives primacy to his relationship with God, not his relationship with things. It's a question of priorities. Jesus is asking us to do what he did and to be as who he was. That's what a disciple is, a learner, one who learns to live and act and speak and think like the teacher. The disciple integrates the teacher's life and teachings into his or her own life. No one, no cost, no thing is to take precedence over or interfere with our relationship with Jesus. Nothing is more important because it is our relationship with Jesus that shapes and defines and determines and characterizes all our other relationships, all other aspects of our lives, who we are, what we say, and what we do. Discipleship, learning to be and live like Jesus, is ultimately what unifies our life. So often we live fragmented and compartmentalized lives. We have different lives due to the time of day, others due to the nature of our world. There's our work life, our school life, our family and home life, internet life, recreational life, political life, civic life, and church life. This fragmentation allows us to place each of those various aspects of our lives as the priority depending upon where we are, who we are with, and what we are doing. That fragmentation is one more symptom of a consumer-oriented, buffet-driven world. Jesus' demands and expectations, well, they change all that. There could be only one priority, and it is to inform and shape the whole of who we are and what we do. So let's consider some of the implications. It means we are to be the same person with the same values, principles, and beliefs, regardless of where we are, who we are with, or what we are doing. Think about that. It means politics are no longer governed by party agendas or loyalty, but by commitment to Jesus and gospel agendas. It means individual opinions and preferences give way to love of neighbor and one's enemies. Imagine how that one thing would change some of our postings and comments on social media and our private as well as public conversations. It means business is not a capitalist venture to gain money, power, or leverage over one another, but a resource to care for, to support, and to satisfy human needs. It means the environment is not a commodity to be used, polluted, and stripped, but a sacred gift entrusted to our care, a gift that manifests and reveals God's own beauty and holiness. It means everything we say, do, choose, and are, all those things arise from and reveals our life in and our love for Jesus Christ. If we choose to live like that, and it is a choice, I'm constantly talking to young people when I'm mentoring. I say there are choices and decisions. It's your choice, make a decision. And not doing something is as much making a decision as doing something. But if we choose to live like that, there are costs to be paid and sacrifices to be made, and we shouldn't be surprised by that. We know that's true for other parts of our lives. We sacrifice years of study for an education. We sacrifice long hours and weekends for a successful career. We sacrifice time, money, and other opportunities to make sure that our kids get to camp activities and their sporting games. We sacrifice dessert for a healthy diet and sleeping in for a time to work out. We know how to make sacrifices and pay the cost. And we do it because these things are important to us. They are priorities for us. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. They're good and important aspects of our lives, but we cannot avoid the obvious question to which these lead. What cost are we willing to pay, and what sacrifices are we willing to make to be disciples of Jesus? Now, I don't know what your answer is. The answer will be different for each of us, but I'm certain each answer will involve reordering our priorities. Our learning to be more like Jesus is not just another priority among many, it is the priority. And it has consequences for our other relationships, our time, our money, our work, our energy, and effort. No part of our life will be left untouched. If we want to know what our priority is, what orients, drives, and directs our lives, we need only to look at the choices we make, what we choose to say and do. and the ways in which we spend our time, our money, and our energy. What do those choices say about us? What do they reflect discipleship, learning to be more like Jesus? What new choices might more closely align our lives with Christ? There's a reason biblical scholars call today's gospel one of Jesus's hard sayings. It's hard. It offers both challenging words and it raises tough questions. They are, however, words and questions that can offer life. Isn't that why we showed up here today? We want life. We want to be fully alive. We want to be real and authentic. We want to be more like Jesus. Don't let this text scare you away. We can do this. Christ Jesus has made that possible. Let's not lose the power and gift of his words. Let's not lose this moment. Let's not leave here the same people we were when we came in. What is one thing, just one thing, large or small, that you could do or give up that changes your priorities, which reorders your relationships, which gives precedence to Christ? Choose that, and you will leave here today a different person. Choose life. Choose life in God. Choose life with Jesus.